Big changes coming in the real estate industry starting at midnight on Thursday, August 15th, 2024. If you are a buyer, seller, or a realtor and not aware of this change, you may want to listen up here. The big changes is coming from the NAR Settlement that took place a few months ago, and this has actually been being discussed for several years. Most people in the industry are aware of this change, that we knew something was coming up, but we had no idea what. So here are some changes. As of August 15th, realtors, sellers are not going to be able to offer buyer's compensation for their realtor, which also means it is actually going to be a law that if you are working with a realtor looking at homes, you must sign a buyer's agency agreement prior to viewing homes. Now, what has to be in this buyer agency agreement? This is definitely not something that has ever been around before, because as many of you know, before the sellers were paying for buyer's representation, and that's no longer going to be the case. So as a buyer, you will need to interview several agents and decide which agent you want to work with to represent you to purchase your home. And during this consultation, whenever you meet with your realtor, they're going to give you a buyer's representation form that you will need to fill out. It is going to have how much is going to be paid to the realtor, when it is going to be paid with the realtor, and how long you are going to have that realtor represent you. There's also a few other things in there that you can get with your realtor to go over all of the details of what's in that buyer representation form. But the big changes is you are going to be hiring your own realtor to represent you as a buyer and going to be responsible for paying for that. Now, as a seller, the biggest change is going to be you are not going to be able to offer buyer's agent representation fees for that buyer. The good thing is that the buyer is already going to have agreed to hire someone to represent them, but sometimes they're going to be short funds. We may actually get an offer, the buyer asking us to give them assistance for maybe closing costs and their buyer's agency fees. Now, what we cannot put anywhere in the MLS that we're offering that, but we can say that you're offering X amount of money towards closing costs or anything like that. We just can't specifically say towards the buyer's agent. If you're a realtor and you're not aware of this yet, you need to be alarmed, because if you show a property without having buyer representation, the first offense is $1,000, second offense is $2,500, and third offense, your license is suspended. As buyers, understand that when an agent asks you to sign a buyer's representation agreement, although it's not something that you're used to, it is going to be the norm, and we can get in a lot of trouble for not doing it. So the good news for you is that you get to interview several buyer's agents and decide which agent do you want to represent you, and at that time is when you can negotiate your fees and things like that, because everybody is going to be willing to work for a different price.